Hey everybody, welcome back. Um, so this is this is not a gaming format that I'm here with you today. I'm actually here to talk to you about some stuff going on, both in my life and in the country that I live in, Canada. And sorry, I'm just adjusting all of my screens here, my chat and everything. Um, this is a huge problem. Um, I am going to be basically at the end of this month homeless. So at the beginning of the month, I posted a video talking about how excited I am to, here, let's just flip it over to this for now. At the beginning of the month, I was very excited about a new direction that I wanted to take in my life. And I am hoping to turn this into a bit of a business for myself. But that's not going to happen, guys. And the reason that's not going to happen is because I took a layoff on the 4th of, sorry about that, my headphones just crapped out on me. But yeah, so I took a layoff on the 4th of November and I applied for EI. Um, and the EI was approved pretty quickly, like it was approved within a week. But the thing about EI is that you have a 28-day mandatory waiting period. And then if you still need EI and you don't have a job, then they finally issue you a payment, but it takes a couple of weeks after that. So we're looking at 6 weeks after I took my layoff. And basically I was living paycheck to paycheck. Now I know I went and bought all this streaming hardware and I basically set myself up to be a streamer, and that's great. Most of it was on credit, and that was all done while I still had a job, and I was planning on just working my normal job and just kind of toning down my debts and then paying all this equipment off within the next year. But then literally the day after I got all my equipment and set myself up for everything, my company did a mass layoff, and unfortunately I was a part of that. And their big thing is like, oh, like, well, at least you're getting EI. And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't help me pay rent. And I don't have thousands of dollars just sitting there because rent is extremely expensive here. Because everything is so expensive, you can't save money in this economy anymore. And it even makes me wonder how people make it on YouTube and get the financials, get the donations. They get people, in the super chat sending the money and all this stuff to showcase their comments and everything. And it just because everybody's broke, everybody's in the same position now. So at the end of this month, um, I have literally $0 right now to pay rent with. My rent is $1,500 just for a one-bedroom apartment, and that's per month for a one-bedroom apartment for something I'll never own, right? And I have negative money in the bank account right now, so I'm like living on my overdraft, and I've bounced a bunch of payments, and the situation is bad, you guys. It's very, very bad. I mean, soon enough, I could end up losing my car. Like, I don't know how much worse it's going to get. But I've been looking for work like crazy right now, and there really isn't any out there, guys, because everybody is getting mass layoff. Like these mass layoffs are insane, and they're really starting to affect the trade sector, which is something that I thought was going to be bulletproof. The world will always need electricians, which is what I do. Um, I'm a fourth year, mind you, and I'll talk about schooling in a minute, maybe at the end of this video or maybe in another video. I don't know. But anyways, so it's like, you know, I'm just I'm just like there's no support for white people in this country. And you can say that's false all you want, but there really isn't, though. They take so much of our, if they didn't take our tax money, white people's tax money, then they wouldn't need to provide all the services that they provide for white people. We'd be able to pay for everything ourselves. But the government takes, like probably 60 to 70% of our income if you're white, right? You get taxed, anywhere from 25 to 40% of your income just off the top. And then you pay PST and GST, and then there's carbon taxes, and then there's so many hidden costs. Like, oh, insurance rates are through the roof, rent is through the roof, food is through the roof, and you don't get breaks on any of it. It's just you pay full price for everything, especially if you're a white man like me. If you're a white female, it's a little better because, especially if you have kids, okay, the government, they provide you with some stuff. But just having a look at here. So let's have a look at this real quick. And I just want you to, I'm just going to scroll down this, and I want you to notice something. Okay, all these people that are homeless are white people. And is that, like here in Canada, the vast majority of homeless people are white people. You don't see a lot of brown people, you don't see a lot of blacks, you don't see a lot of Asians. And you could say, oh, you could come at it with bitterness. Oh, that's because white people are pieces of shit and should just shut up and die and go tuck themselves off under a rock until the inevitable end. The world doesn't need white people anymore. Fuck all the white people. Well, guess what? That's actually going to happen, you guys. Like, white people are on the chopping block. Okay. The world hates us. It's obvious that they hate us. All of our communities, our countries, our political systems are being overran with Black and Indian people in the world right now because there's billions of them, and Chinese people. Like the amount of Black, brown, and Chinese people that are immigrating to all these countries is absolutely absurd. But like, look at, I'm just scrolling down. Look at this problem is a white person problem specifically. You can tell me till you're blue in the face, like, oh no, there's a lot of homeless natives out there too. And that's true. That's the second highest population, but it doesn't even hold a candle. It doesn't hold a candle because natives are very well taken care of in this country, and it's all on the back of white people. So we've created this atmosphere due to feminism and liberalism and all of these ideologies that, like, this is an AI generated image. It's absolutely funny, but like, we've created all these ideologies that have it so that white people are basically at the shit end of the stick, and we get screwed at every turn. And unless you have some kind of a disability, right, or you're, a woman, or you're of any other color or race other than white, um, like, look at this guy. You would never see an East Indian person like on the streets, even in Vancouver, where that population is high. You know what I mean? These people are all white people. Nobody's getting the support they need. Everybody's getting just absolutely raked over the coals. They're taking all of our money. Tax rates are extremely high if you're white. Like, it's crazy. And so what do people do? They drug themselves up, and that's the other thing too. It's like in the medical industry, um, they're very, like, they very much put white people on all these super hardcore drugs like meth and opioids and all this stuff, knowing full well that it's going to turn these people into drug addicts, and they do it anyways. And but do they do that for indigenous or black or brown people? No, they don't. They don't. They put them on stuff that's way less addictive, right? And in fact, like, I can't even get into it because I don't have any facts to back it up. But like, this AI generated slop at this crap that, oh, Canadian Hub, like, it's ridiculous. But anyways, you don't see people of color in the homeless community. It's all white people. And that's because this is the agenda, you guys. This is what's going to happen with, with our society. This is what they want for white people. They want us to die off. Okay, they want us to die off. So unless you're married, right, to an immigrant, or you have like a disability, or you're pregnant and have a kid, or something like that, you're going to end up like this. Okay, the government wants us gone. So this is definitely a thing, and I've been calling for this for a very long time, just not on YouTube. I was over on another platform, the quote racist platform that everybody talks about being racist. But I'll just bring it up. So I had a channel on here that I kept very far away from from YouTube, and I did not want to talk about all this stuff on YouTube because YouTube is so draconian with their rules, right? You can't talk about anything going on right now. You can't point the finger at the groups that are responsible, especially the government. You cannot talk ill of the government in this country because you're not talking ill of these dirty ass politicians that launder our money like crazy, right? They spin it's like you're talking about the voter base, like the people who voted for these people. Um, they make it like you're talking about them, right? And that's hate speech. So yeah, so we're going to talk about that in just a minute here. But I've got a laundry list of stuff that I want to talk about here because there are so many freaking things going on right now. And so let's just start with the food crisis. So this is crap. High energy prices, severe weather, limited protein production. I call complete and total bullshit. This is price gouging 100% for sure, guaranteed. Okay, so in 2020, when COVID was at its height, or sorry, the 2020 when the virus was at its height, um, this this was okay. Sorry, let me gather my thoughts here because my stupid headphones shut off again. So in 2020, when everything was going down, you could go to the grocery store and you could spend $50 to $75 on a few bags of groceries. Okay, for example, a can of frozen like lemonade, like say just not even the name brands, like not even Minute Maid, just the non-name brand stuff. Okay, was like 80 to 99 cents a can, and they often went on sale for like 50 cents a can. Now that same can of frozen juice is almost $4, you guys. For one can of frozen juice, we pay $4. Okay. That's a quadruple, that's a 400% price increase, a 400% price increase. Now you go to the grocery store and you spend $80 to $110 on one single bag of groceries, and there's really nothing's massively over like crazy in there. You might have a block of cheese, you might have a 2 liter thing of milk, right? You might have a carton of eggs in there. You might have, 2 or 3 packs of bacon and a couple cans of frozen juice and maybe a frozen pizza. And that's it. You're like 50, 60, $70 for that bag. It's insane, you guys. And then to think about it in the terms of how much how much sorry, I have to put on a little bit of music. I can't. um Thinking about it in the terms of how much it costs you to earn that money. Okay, so in the context of, okay, so minimum wage here is $20 an hour. Let's take the baseline as an example. Okay. So one bag of groceries takes you 5 hours of work. Okay. That one bag of groceries might feed you for a couple of days. So you got 2 days worth of food in that one bag of grocery that takes you 5 hours of work. That leaves you 3 hours left in the day. So that's one out of 2 days. So then the next day you have another 8 hours of work. So in that 16-hour period, 5 of those hours was spent just buying a bag of groceries to feed yourself for that 2 days. So that is 1/3 of your time spent working goes towards your food. It's freaking crazy. So that's if you make minimum wage. And people that talk about the minimum wage crisis and the crisis of low wages, and everybody else is going, oh, you can't increase minimum wage because it increases the cost of everything. I'll say, yeah, that's true, right? So companies have to pay their employees more, which translates into higher cost, right? So your minimum wage hike increase doesn't really do much for the general society, because instantly overnight these people all have to pay their employees more, right? Does that make sense? Um, so I mean, yeah, there's that, and I'm gonna have to do like
Epic fail.
some of those every once in a while just to keep my just to keep my headphones from turning off. But if you translate your cost of food into an hourly, into how many hours of work it takes you to buy a bag of groceries, it's absurd right now, you guys. Before 2020, you could buy a bag of groceries for 1 hour of work. Now it's 5 hours of work to buy that same bag of groceries. It's crazy. It's crazy. And the AI is just trolling like Google, right? The AI just uses Google to look for these answers, and then but Google is heavily curated, liberal, pro-slavery, pro-communist platform. So your answers aren't really going to be accurate here. Um, but these are factors: inflation, general inflation, rising energy, and everything. Oh, by the way, the the cost crisis where people feel like they're not making enough and they want higher minimum wages. They shouldn't be fighting for higher minimum wages, because that is a psyop. Okay, you guys, that's the government controlling the narrative. What we really need to be fighting for is lower interest rates, which takes the money out of the back pockets of the politicians and back into the back pockets of the people, which is why they will never do that. Okay. And then there's a ton of hidden taxes and mandatory things that they make us pay for example, insurance, right? We're paying, there's like, if you're a kid and you want to drive, um, your car, you're 16 years old, you got your first car, that's cool, perfect, awesome. And you want to drive it, you're paying up to $300 a month in insurance. $300 a month to insure your car. It's because these kids are living at home and the government knows that. So the government also thinks, well, why don't we just charge them like exorbitant insurance rates to be on the road? They can afford it. They're living at home. It won't matter, you know. But what if you're a new driver and you can't afford that? And it doesn't even matter if there's no what ifs. You should not be paying $300 a month to insure your damn vehicle. That used to be an actual car payment. Like I remember my first kind of newish car, the payments were $225 a month, and I ended up paying that off. And it's like, you know, so that's just an example. But why are we paying insurance rates when these insurance companies have nothing to do with actually insuring you, if that makes any kind of sense? So, this is just one thing here, you guys, that's increasing our rate of homelessness. And eventually the homelessness is going to get so bad, you're going to have almost the entire white population. The only people who are white that will not be homeless in the next 10 years are boomers. Okay, because boomers, they bought their house for $25,000 and now it's worth over 2 million. I'm not even going to get into that. I hate the boomer generation. And if you are a boomer watching this, sorry, not sorry, but you're a piece of crap. You probably are a piece of crap, and you're probably selfish. And there's like a thousand things that I want to say to you, but you're not a nice person. Put it that way. Um, there are a couple of people in that generation that I'm personally friends with, and there's only that are not like that are of that age group, and they're much better people than most of the people in that age group. But for the most part, boomers are hoarding everything. They're hoarding their land. They're hoarding everything, and they're going way, way, way into old age, and absolutely will not let go of what they've built for themselves. Like they will not let go of it. They're going into old folks' homes, and they're hanging on, they're clutching their pearls, you guys. They won't let them go because it's just all selfishness and greed. They don't care about the future of their kids. Meanwhile, they're all out there voting pro-feminist, pro-immigration, pro-high taxes, pro-everything, because it doesn't affect them, right? They're just on the bandwagon thinking that, oh, I'm going to do my part to save the world. And, oh, I'm going to vote in the tyrants, right? We're going to vote for tyranny and, fuck the future generations. Basically, they're pieces of crap and they don't deserve anything. So, yeah. And it's these boomer owned corporations that are price gouging. So I see this and I call BS. Sorry to come all the way back to this. I call BS, guys, because they're literally just raising prices on things.
Yay!
Right? So they're quite literally just raising the prices on things because the CEO wants more money. So they don't care that it's, 4 times the cost to buy a loaf of bread that it was 5 years ago. They don't care about that, right? So when the government says, oh, the inflation's only going up, like 3%, I call bullshit. It's going up 100% per year. Everything is doubling in price. Well, maybe it's not quite that extreme, but I'd say every 2.5 years we have a doubling. So in the last 5 years, since the big calamity, the worldwide calamity happened, things have like tripled in price or quadrupled in a lot of cases. So yeah, cost of food crisis. Now the Canadian government has, they always have some response. Oh, here we go. The crap. The Communist Broadcasting Corporation, rising cost of food is changing how Canadians eat. Yeah, no shit. I haven't had a steak in like 10 years. I haven't eaten steak. Guys, I haven't gone out to a proper restaurant and it's been like a while. It's been at least a year. And even that was like, ooh, I don't know if I can afford it, because it's like $100 a plate now. And don't even get me started about how greedy they are when they come at you with your bill and they've taken a 15% gratuity tip on everything, including the taxes, right? Then they've forced a tip onto your bill, and then they have the audacity to ask you for a tip on top of everything, including the tip that you just paid them, right? Another 15 to 20% worth of tips. So you're tipping these companies, right? They charge massively for their food, like these restaurants. And then they have the nerve to charge you a 20 to 35% tip on what you just ate. Like it's such a scam, like going out for restaurants, and the only people I see in restaurants right now are boomers. um so I'm going to be talking a lot about the boomers, you guys, because they did this to us. They voted in this system. They're the ones that keep these tyrants in power. And even with my boomer parents, back in 2015 when Trudeau was being elected, I had a big scrap with my stepmom. Because she's super pro liberal, she's a feminist, and these were her argument points, like, I am a feminist and I vote liberal by default just because I'm a sheep that follows the herd. Oh, gotta have all the feminist crap going on. We have to have that. We can't let go of it. So I'm voting liberal, just like so many women nowadays do. Everybody, all the women out there are all voting liberal. It's amazing that the conservative government is even being voted on, because you only have about 40% of males in this country that vote conservative. Everybody else, the women all vote liberal, half the men vote liberal, and all the immigrants all vote liberal. So guys, we are now in a one party system, and this is their MO, right? They want to do this. Look at this, look at that guy there. They want to do this to our population, right? They want to turn white people into this guy right here. That's the agenda. Okay, next. Cost of housing. Actually, let's put this one in front. The immigration crisis. So just to make it clear, I'm not against immigration. I think immigration is a good thing for any country. You can really have the opportunity to fill the gaps in your workforce with skilled labor, and even educated, like doctors and engineers and people that actually help society. I would say lawyers, but lawyers are useless. Um, but guys, this is all stuff that I'm not going to be able to talk about even on YouTube pretty soon here with the immigration and everything. It's just how do you get off on doing, 600,000 to 1 million immigrants per year over the course of 10 years, and it has ballooned our 25% of our population are people that came here in the last 10 years since Trudeau first took office. And what that does is it eats up all our housing, it eats up all our jobs, it eats up all our food. It basically they are here to take our resources. Meanwhile, the government pays these people to live here. So if you're an immigrant living in Canada, that's especially recently in the last 5 years, if you're an immigrant that has come to Canada, the government is giving you thousands of dollars every month, right, to survive in this country. But where's that money coming from? Oh, it's coming from me, a white man, my taxes, and I'm basically about to be homeless. And the government's just like, well, that's just too bad. So sad, buddy. You should have been born East Indian, I guess. Sucks to be me, right? So this is the problem, and it's like, don't even get me started about my own boomer parents. One is a raging feminist, right? And the other one is just clueless. But anyways, so yeah, here's all the key issues, and I think the AI basically nailed it. Strain on services. They're too high for current infrastructure, leading to greater pressure on housing, healthcare, and social services. That is 100%. Asylum backlog, temporary residents, and this is a big one. We have students here that are temporary residents in Canada, and there's a lot of companies out there, like Tim Hortons is a really great example of this, that will only hire temporary residents because they get a kickback from the government, right? And they don't have to pay these people as much as they do Canadians. Um, Never mind public opinion, because that's just opinion, but economic impact. It strains the economy, and there's not and security concerns, and the crime rate has freaking exploded, you guys. It's exploded, and the government's basically just like, well, that's just too bad. And the people who are mostly affected by it are white people. um, it's just like, it's such a stab in the heart to white people. And you could say that white people should never have colonized North America to begin with, because all the natives, and look what we did to the natives and everything. But you know um, my grandparents came here during World War II, specifically because they were being bombed. My dad's parents came from Romania. At the time, Romania was being bombed, and we had to get out. It was either leave Europe or die, basically. And what the people here in Canada now in today's day and age are saying is, no, we probably should have just stayed in Europe during all that, and just gotten killed, right? So I shouldn't actually exist right now. There should be nobody in Canada, only natives, even though natives didn't evolve here, and I have actual proof of that. Natives are Asian. Okay, it's the natives came over from Mongolia, right? All the North and South American natives that you see in this country are all Mongolian by descent, you guys. So they're immigrants here too. They saw land, and there's a lot about the natives here that just, it pisses me right off, because the natives are hyper, they're hyper aggressive and violent towards white people, because we took their land and everything. But it's been like 200 years since we landed here, and we really did actually try to work with them at first for the longest time, because they were at war with each other. And then that war spilled over to us, the colonizers, right? And they started burning down our camps and scalping us and killing us and raping our women and stuff. And so basically at that point, we just had to stop it all. Um, I suppose we could have left, but to be honest with you, if we had, and Canada had remained untouched, and these people were still living like savages, no horses, no guns, no nothing, right? They were just running through the woods, because we even brought horses here. The horses are not native to North America, by the way. They're from Europe. Um, Guys, capital H, World War II bad man would have invaded this country, and he would have just wiped everybody out. It would have been a genocide. Nobody would have cared, right? He would have completely taken North and South America, completely burnt down the entire indigenous population, and they would not even exist right now, because that was Hitler's big agenda. So kind of like the fact that we prevented that, and a lot of us, we spilt our blood, and we fought for this country, and we fought to protect the people here. Nobody ever thinks of that, thinks of that, there's a lot of things that we did. We brought technology and housing and heat and firearms and cars and so many things that everybody in the world now enjoys, right? That they never would have had even 300 years later. They never would have had it if we hadn't intervened. Okay, they would still be fighting each other. There would still be tribe wars, and they would still be living basically like cavemen, running around the woods with no horses. Okay, so the immigration thing, it's just we have our main immigration focus is from India. So we have East Indians coming here by the thousands, and Carney's like finally recognized that it's really high. The immigration rates are super high. So we've cut it from 600,000 a year down to 300,000 a year, and it's like it needs to be zero, okay? Because you're importing each year, you're importing a major city's worth of people.
Epic fail.
Fail. So each year we're importing a city's worth of people, and like a major city's worth of people. And where's the housing for all these people? There isn't. So basically, what they're doing is the government is paying them to hold themselves up in the hyperinflated housing market and take away all the housing from actual Canadians, and that includes Native people too. And they're here. They've taken all our jobs, like especially all our retail and minimum wage jobs are all gone. You can't even you can't work anywhere now. You have to, and they gloat about how they've come here and they've taken all our jobs away from us. They actually gloat about it, right? They find it funny. They think Canadians are pieces of shit, and a lot of these East Indian people have come here with the express purpose of turning Canada into another India. They're colonizing Canada so that Canada becomes another India. And I hope the native people in this country wake up soon and realize, stop the fucking white hatred, because it's not working. It doesn't matter. You're going to get overrun with East Indians. And if you think white people were bad, just you wait. Just you wait, because they'll genocide. Right. And a lot of them are Muslim too. So just wait until Sharia law is the big thing. That's going to be fun. Okay. So with all that being said now, because we have our housing is completely being eaten up, landlords can basically charge whatever the hell they want. Let's have a look at this. Canada's average house prices have not eased much. Oh, 2021. Yeah, so you were, $1,100 a month for rent. Now you're $1,500 a month for that same place. And this is the $1,100 is up from like, let's say 2010, when you could rent that very same apartment for like 700-800 a month, utilities in, right? So now it's double that, and you're paying your own utilities, and that's actually cheap compared to some of these places. You got some one bedroom apartments that are like $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and there's nothing special about them. It's just that they're newly built, and that's it. And so in order to combat this, solving the housing crisis, here's Canada's housing plan. um we're going to talk if you work hard in this country, you should be able to afford a home, and we're going to solve it, and we're going to build more homes, you guys. But we're not building affordable homes. Oh no, we're building multi-million dollar McMansions, or hundreds of millions of dollar giant, whatever, right? So it's yeah. Sorry, I'm just keeping my headphones alive. And that's it, right? So it's like, by bringing down the cost of home building, which is like, this is all engineered, you guys. They're building more homes, but they're building hyper expensive homes. Okay, these homes, like a single, like just an average, family dwelling, is not, like your two-bedroom house, your standalone two-bedroom house with a garage and a den. Those don't exist anymore. They only build like these 8-bedroom massive mansions with like multiple kitchens and like huge walk-in closets and like oh, like decks with like views of the lake and like all this stuff. And if it's just a downtown thing, well, they're building like giant high rises with these micro suites that are being rented out. Let me see if I can actually find one. Micro suite. Yeah, a micro suite, a very small apartment, typically less than 320 to 350 square feet, which is like a 30 by 10, which if you look at your kitchen, it's probably like 20 by 10. So the entire apartment is about the size of a kitchen. Um, these compact units are becoming a popular housing trend, and that's not because people are like, "Oh, we want these. Yeah, we want these so much." It's because the builders are like, "How many of these units can we pack into? How many of these?" See, like, and this is a big this one here. This is a big micro suite. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a big one. Most of them are literally it's a hallway. You know, like this, for example. So here's a micro suite. It's a crappy image, but you get the idea. Like the entire thing is a hallway. Like this is actually more akin to what you're loading. Loading. No. But you get the idea though, like micro suites are absolutely freaking tiny. And yeah, here's an amazing example of this. Okay, so you're standing at the desk, you take the picture this way, you have your entrance to the apartment and your bathroom right there. And like here's your sink, like what a joke, right? And then you turn around and you point the window and that's it. This is it, guys. This is literally you're in a hallway. And these like this is probably going for 3,000 a month down in Vancouver. Oh, 1,000. Right? Is this where you want to live for 1,000 a month? Like 1,000 a month, you guys. It's 10 feet wide and 25 feet long. Yeah, it's like you don't even have where are you cooking? Right? This is your entire kitchen right here. You got a sink with two little burners on it. Here, let's see if I can zoom in on this. No, it won't really let me, but you got a sink with two little burners on it, and you have like a little like a 3 foot kitchen counter thing with like five cupboards, and that's it. That's like one, two, yeah, three whole cupboards. Okay, and then you get this little wardrobe thing to hang up your jacket, and one single dresser and a built-in bed. Like what a freaking joke! But you see these everywhere. You see these everywhere in Kelowna for sure, where I live. And this is like the latest trend, you guys, with these big developers. But hey, because it's new, like oh here's a nice micro suite. This one actually has an L-shaped living room, but the entire apartment is in this space here, and then it hooks off just enough to fit the bed, right? And so this is like a luxury micro suite. Okay, so you're paying $2,500 a month to live here. So it's just insane. But the reason it's like this, you guys, is because we have immigrants that have come here, right, that are being funded by the government to buy up all the nice housing, all the yeah. So here it is. This is good. Um, you have the government is funding these people to come here and literally buy all of your homes up, or rent them out. And the way they're able to do that is via government funding. And the reason the government has the money to do that is because they're taking it out of our taxes, right? They're squandering it on mass immigration, and they're also squandering it on things overseas where they're like funding these completely ridiculous programs that shouldn't exist, right? So yeah, you've got this. This is like an expensive unit right here. This is thousands of dollars a month to rent this. Here in Kelowna, I have like a one-bedroom apartment that's, kind of not decent, or that's like decent, right? But yeah. So that's this is a huge problem. How the housing crisis, our housing is gone, you guys. And because our housing is gone, landlords can charge whatever the hell they want, And this is where we're at. It's insane. So yeah, this is a huge problem. Next, we have the healthcare crisis, and our healthcare is going down. And guys, people are literally, they're not necessarily dying in the waiting room, but when you have to wait, 18 months for a critical surgery that will save your life, you end up at home dying. Also, if you have the type of health problem that prevents you from being able to work, there's no support for you, and if the government does help you, survive, right? If the government does help you survive, then what happens is you are paid such a minuscule amount that you end up homeless. Okay, you might be able to put a couple of bags of groceries in your cupboards, but you're going to lose your place of living, right? This is not the government helping you is not the kind of help you think it is. And everybody that cheers for our gold standard medical system, it's complete fucking bullshit. Especially if you're a white male and you have to go to the hospital for any reason at all, they literally look at you and they're like, "What are you doing here? This place isn't for you. We're here to help homeless people and immigrants." You know what I mean? Like they just look at you and they're super pissed, and they basically have like this all go and suck it up attitude, and I run into this. I've had to go to the hospital a couple of times in the last few months, and I've run into this every time I go to the hospital. I run into this thing where it's like, I'm a burden on the system. I shouldn't be there. Fuck me for existing. I'm a white piece of crap, like, but all the roses and flowers and the red carpet is rolled out for anybody that's not white. They look at you and they smile and they're happy to see you, right? But they look at me and they're just like, "What do you want? Why are you here? Why are you taking up our precious time and our resources? What's going on?" And so you tell them and they're like, "Oh, sit over there." And it's just like, yeah, that's because they've been told by the government, like, don't help white people, or if you do, be like, I don't know. It's crazy. Um, so here's things that are affecting the healthcare. Okay, our healthcare professionals literally are not getting paid enough to do the job. So what do? They go overseas, because overseas, where they have actual vetting processes for their immigrants, overseas you can be a doctor and they'll be like, "We'll double your income," and then also it's our money, which is worth way more than the Canadian dollar, right? So as a medical professional, you'd be an idiot not to do that. Workforce burnout and turnover, the absolute horrific levels of bureaucracy and crap. Um, yeah, sorry guys. The horrific levels of crap that our nurses and doctors take. The 14-hour to 16-hour days that they work. They're a primary care provider, so that means they're on like a salary, which means they work them like dogs, right? These people, there's not enough of them to go around. So every time a doctor leaves the hospital, people literally die, right? Because there's nobody at the hospital that can do the job. So they're burnt out. They want out. They went into it thinking they were going to do like something great for humanity, for society, and it all just turns into like, the other thing is dealing with the homeless people and how the homeless people are constantly wanting more drugs, right? So homeless people go there with all these symptoms and all this crap going on, and as it turns out, oh, they're just there because they want drugs, right? Um, so over 6 million Canadians do not have a family doctor. And I'm one of those people, guys. I don't have a family doctor because there just aren't enough of them here in Kelowna. The other thing is the aging population with the boomers, and these boomers are all getting sick, of course, because they all took the clot shot back in, the biggest, pandemic slash plague of human history that killed 90% of our society, right? All these boomers went and got the clot shot because they were all shaking in their boots over it. And that's one reason, but also they're all getting old, and they've been living in our society for so long now that, like, and the society the way it is now, with all the incredible levels of unhealthy crap that they've been force feeding us, like even their own kids, like, oh, pop and chips and candy and just junk, right? So the consequences is long wait times, delayed or missed care, and system strain. And this is actually quite accurate. This is a good job by the AI that did this. Um, but this is what we're going through here, you guys. It like our medical system is about to collapse. And there we have like rolling brownouts of supply shortages. These people for a couple months won't be able to get gloves for, so they're all, gloves. And the next month it's catheters, and then the next month it's syringes, and you can't get syringes, and it's just like it's crazy what's going on here. But this is a huge thing. Like our medical system is so overburdened and so underfunded that it is on the verge of actual legitimate collapse. Now, there are some things I'm going to get into the next things. These are all physical things, money, housing, the cost of food, the cost of just everything, all of the insurances they want us to pay and subscription fees they want us to pay, and everything is subscription based now. That's one thing that's hurting us because we're literally being priced out of existence. But then we have all this other stuff, like our online speech laws, um, Bill C-63, right, to create a regulatory framework for online platforms to address harmful content. But what are they deeming as harmful content? Well, that's anything you speak against the government. Okay, so if you have something you don't like about the government and you want to say it, well, that's harmful content. That's hate speech. Because, like I said, you're not speaking against the government. You're speaking against the voter base of the government. So that's how they make it so that they can get away with this. Yeah. It's just maddening, right? Um, so they want to, digital safety, and they want everybody to it's a safe space. So if you're LGBT or liberal in some way, or you're like an immigrant or something like that, or you're a degenerate in some way, the laws are all there to protect you from feeling the harm of normal like cis white male society, right? So if you have anything to say about our dollar collapsing, our housing market collapsing, it's over, like immigration is destroying us so badly and so rapidly. If you have anything to say about that, well, that's hate speech, guys. And this is all stuff that they're putting into law. They're going to be passing all this stuff next year, in the first quarter of 2026. So I love how the Canadian government, on all of these issues, the Canadian government, your first link is the Canadian government's website, because they know, right? Introduces legislation to combat hate crimes. You guys, this should never be a thing. But this is what happens when you have women voting for big government. Okay, this is what happens when people become feminist and liberal in a society. You have a societal breakdown, because while the money is in the coffers and while everything is cheap to buy and while everybody can still kind of live a life, this doesn't really have much of an effect on a lot of people. But now, because of the way the government that these people have elected in so they can have all those things has been running the country, they're running it in such a way that they're basically robbing from the poor and giving to the rich, and they're all out there lining their own pockets with all this fucking money, right? And they're making us go broke. They're taking away our rights. They're taking away housing. They're taking away everything. And we're expected to not be allowed to say anything about it, especially against the government, because the government is running around like they're a person, right? The actual government of Canada is trying to make itself like, oh, it's a person and it has feelings that it can be hurt because people voted for these people, and it's those people whose feelings are hurt when you say something. So that's now hate speech, right? So the level of censorship that's coming to Canadians in the next 4 to 6 months is going to be like you've never seen anything like it. It's going to be worse than Europe is right now, even the UK. It's going to be so much worse, because they're going to be jailing people like literally in prison for life for having an opinion on, having a million Indian immigrants per year coming into our country. And if you point out that we just don't have the infrastructure to support those people right now, we need to build more and cheaper infrastructure, and the government needs to stop wasting our fucking money, and letting criminals out of prisons that are multiple reoffenders, right? You can't say that because that's speaking against the government. So, you know, they're coming. They're coming. They're going to jail you. Anybody with an opinion, anybody with a conservative stance, even people who vote conservative are all on a list, right? And they're going to be knocking on all those doors pretty soon. Oh, I see you voted conservative in 2025. What was that all about there, buddy? Are you a misogynist, right? Are you a hater? Are you against LGBT everything? Does it piss you off that your 6-year-old daughter is subjected to grown-ass men, in her bathrooms, and that they're teaching young kids about butt plugs and gay sex, right? Does that make you mad? Well, then that makes you a criminal for being mad about it and for having an opinion on it. And we have to now arrest you, right? And put you away for several years because you're a menace to society. Right? We want our society to be gay. We want our society to be LGBT, but we also want our society to be full of military, fighting aged immigrant men that are flooding the country to make sure, because those guys are the ones that are going to be allowed to have all the guns. Which brings me right into my next thing. This is a thing. Legal self-defense is permitted under Section 34 of the Criminal Code, allowing use of reasonable proportion of force. And then there's like this big laundry list of checklists, this massive checklist that you have to keep in your head when you're being attacked in your own home, and somebody's come into your home and they have a gun and they've pistol whipped you and your wife and they want to rape your wife and kill your kids. Well, if you have the audacity to do anything in retaliation, like shoot the person dead, like in any other country, you'd be allowed to just shoot them or beat them up or, break their damn arms. Well, you can't do that here.
Denied.
Right? Because we have bleeding heart liberalism. All those people are half heart, and that's somebody's son, like these criminals. Oh, that's somebody's son, and they could have been rehabilitated. So you're the criminal for killing them, even though they just maybe potentially killed somebody that you love, or they're going to, or they're threatening to, and they have all the tools and implements to do that with, right? But this is a disintegration of our society when the government tells you that you cannot defend yourself at all ever, and that's basically what this is saying. So when the government is saying that you can't defend yourself, or if you do defend yourself in your own home, you get arrested, right? And you could be held in jail for months while they investigate whether or not you're the criminal, right? The cops know that you're not the criminal, but they're obligated to arrest you anyways, because we're just following orders, and that's what we got to do, and you're probably going to get found guilty of hurting somebody. You know what I mean? So um, the thing is like, it's like, look at all this stuff. Okay, so let's just look through this. This is what you have to know in order to defend yourself. Reasonable belief. You must have a reasonable belief that you or someone else is in danger of being harmed. Defensive purpose. The force you use must be for the sole purpose of defending yourself or others. Reasonable and proportionate force. The force used must be reasonable and proportionate to the threat you're facing. Excessive force is not appropriate. Factors considered include the nature of the threat, the timing, and other available options. Lethal force is only justified if a threat of grievous bodily harm and loss of life. And how are you going to prove that? Right? How are you going to prove that? The person in your house doesn't have a gun in their hands, but the gun is in their waistband. You don't know that, but they're in your house, and they're smashing your kitchen up looking for whatever drugs, or they're in your drug cabinet looking for whatever drugs, or whatever it is. Okay. And you take them down or you hurt them, right? Okay, they didn't have a knife or a gun in their hand, but later it's found out that they had a gun in their pocket, and that this person has had uh, prior criminals, like prior um, priors, if they've been to jail a few times or they've gone through the system a few times for actually hurting people with guns, right, or knives, and they've been caught and released because, well, they're not white, right? They're immigrants, so we can't do that to the immigrants because, well, liberalism, bleeding heart, and all that crap, So it's like, um, so you can't know that. So the threat of grievous bodily harm is such a thing, like, and if the guy's got a gun in your face, what are you gonna do? Oh, just give me a sec. I'm gonna run to my bedroom. Okay, I'm gonna unlock my handgun safe. Then I'm gonna take off the trigger lock of that handgun. Now I have to find the cartridge, which doesn't have ammunition in it. So just give me a sec while I load some ammunition into my cartridge. But also the cartridge and the gun can't be stored together. So I have to actually go to a different part of the house to go get the cartridge. Or the magazine, right? So you've got your magazine. Now you have to run to another part of the house to get your ammo. Then you're going to load your ammo in, put the gun together. Now I can defend myself. Like, yeah. So what's reasonable? Oh, you have to know the context. You have to be aware of physical and situational factors. And you cannot use unlimited force, right? So you can only use proportionate force, which is so hard to determine in the heat of the moment. What is not allowed? Prohibited weapons, and that's everything. Okay, any weapon is prohibited. Vigilante justice, right? Excessive force. So if they have a knife, then you have to fight them off also with a knife and risk your life, right? Risk being stabbed. You can't use a gun if the guy has a knife and they're in your home and they have a big knife and they're threatening to kill you, right? So the excessive force thing is like, yeah, you basically, when you're being threatened or somebody's in your home, you have to use excessive force because you want to be the one that's safe. They're the one that's doing the dangerous thing and they know it's dangerous, but not in Canada, because they get away with everything. Um, and if you're charged with a crime after a self-defense incident, you have the right to remain silent and should contact a lawyer. Oh, that was a big mistake. But yeah, so that's like, what the actual F, right? How is this a thing, you guys? Like, what is going on? Like, why can't you just defend yourself in your own home like a normal person? No, you can't do that here. You can't do that here because immigrants, even criminal immigrants, are assets to the Canadian government. They are brought here specifically with the express purpose of causing chaos within our society and to break down the fabric of our society. So when you take them out, you're doing a disservice to the satanic, evil, wicked, communist dictatorship of a government we have, right? That's their jackboot force, these immigrants that get away with everything and have multiple felonies, right? That's an asset of the government. The government has spent money to bring that person here, and damn you for hurting them, right? Even though you're going to get hurt, but you're the person in this country that they don't care about. So they want you dead, right? They want to get rid of you, especially if you're white. And that's the agenda, is to purge the world of white people, right? So Canada's very, very, very quickly marching forward towards that. And yeah. So then the last thing I want to show you is, uh, are guns banned in Canada? No, they're not, but they're going to be. And the Canadian government is talking about a blanket gun ban. They're just, oh, they're tired of prohibiting this and prohibiting that. Assault style weapons, which is like the most asinine statement ever, because a gun is an assault weapon, whether it's a hunting rifle or a single shot breech action shotgun. It's still an assault weapon. Like, what are you doing with that, right? The express purpose of a gun is to kill things, a person or an animal. There's no other, guns serve no other purpose other than that. Like, you're not using it to, like, lug wood around, or you're not using it to jack up your car, right? You're not using it to prepare dinner, right? You're using it to kill something. So all firearms are assault, air quotes, because the government loves to use this. Oh, it's an assault weapon. So all firearms are assault weapons. So to say that they're banning assault style weapons, like, it's the most stupid and ridiculous thing ever. Um, So and just the way they go about it, right? Never mind all the illegal immigration, never mind all the knife attacks, never mind all the uh importation, the illegal importation of black market firearms, right, from Russia and or China. Never mind all that. They want to take it. They want to take it out of the hands of the people, and they say that it's for safety, but it's not. Um, so Immigration and Refugee Protection Act regulatory amendments to allow removal at port of entry for straightforward criminal offenses, carrying concealed weapon, unauthorized possession of firearm, new license requirements for import and transfer, and also banning like tons of guns, putting everything on the ban list. But I like how they're like, Public Safety Canada is responsible for providing leadership on firearms policy, including the development of legislation. They wouldn't need to have any of this if they would just put the damn criminals in jail like they're supposed to. And if we didn't have, 10 million immigrants living in a country with 40 million people, like guys, that's like, okay, so do you know how the States has like about 400 million people? And they say that 40 to 50 million of those people are immigrants. Well, imagine if in the States 100 million people were immigrants due to mass immigration. Like how fucked would the country be? And Americans, like you see it all the time. Like Americans are on the verge of Americans are on the verge of collapse also. Sorry guys, I have to play these random sounds so that my headphones don't shut down. And that's a big thing. Like, so they're making it so that you can't say anything, right? Can't say anything, can't protect yourself, definitely can't have a gun, and you can't speak ill of the government. Meanwhile, the food costs are exploding, immigration's exploding, cost of housing is exploding, healthcare is collapsing, and white people are going homeless. So there you go, you guys. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. And pretty much at the end of this month, and that phone call you just heard just now is Money Mart. Okay, so I have money out with them, and I had every intention of paying them. Like I've been dealing with these guys for years, right? I have every intention of paying them, but I can't because I lost my job. They suddenly laid me off, and they gave me just enough money. Like by the time I paid the stuff that I needed to pay for with that paycheck, I only had a few $100s left over. And then, of course, things like food and all that. I spent like probably $400 in food just last month, and I'm already almost out of it all. Like you can't, it's just like I'm looking at becoming whole. This is gonna be me in a couple of weeks. This guy is gonna be me. Um, so I'm kind of like I really want to do the streaming thing, you guys. I want to make this IP. I want to try to build a life for myself, but I just don't feel like I can do that here in Canada, especially with the fact that while streaming, my bit rate drops like straight out through the floor, and my drop frames are just horrible. Like right now, I have no drop frames because I'm just sitting here talking to you, and there's really not a lot going on with my computer. But um, it's like when I oh yeah, there we go. There's some stuttering there. So what I need to do is pay for a better internet connection, so that my upload rate is like double or even triple what it is now. But that means I'm gonna have to pay, right now I'm paying $35 a month just to have internet, but I'm gonna have to pay 60 to 70 a month to have a premium internet so that I can actually upload properly and build a life for myself as a streamer. You know what I mean? So I've discovered all this out in the last couple of days because I've been trying my damnedest to solve the problem. Here we go, you guys, to solve the problem. And that's the answer to the solution to the problem right there, is to just pay for a better internet, because my internet is it's got a very high download speed, which is great, but to upload, like it's the upload rate is horrific. So yeah. I know that this video is going to get demonetized and it's probably going to get torn down because I sworn and I've talked about like SA and immigrants and I'm speaking ill of the needy and oh my God, you're not allowed to even, like people, okay, so there's like 1.1 billion people or like 900 million people in India, right? They have their society and they're like the way they live in India is like, oh, it's insane. It's basically a third world country with first world sectors of the third world country, but for the most part, the people of India are third world. So like, 900 million of them, why don't they try to make any changes to their own government? And this is just, it's just such a vapid, see, here's an elderly white person just completely like homeless, right? And it's just like, um, it's a vapid statement to make, like, oh, why don't these people fix their own problems? Like, we could do that. We could do that here. Look at this guy's eyes. Like, we could do that here. Jeez. Um,
Imagine being
oops. But it's just like the brain rot. People think that the government is the end all be all. Um, and you can't fight them. You can't do anything about them. All you can do is vote for the next one. But guys, we could tear down our government so easily. But this is a problem that's worldwide. It's a systemic worldwide problem with corrupt governments completely raking in the profits and putting it all in their back pockets while their people suffer. Okay, so this is a thing. Um, it's like, but you don't see people mass emigrating from Canada because it's become a third world shithole, which it is, right? Do you? Like, you don't see, but like, yeah, you don't see people, Canadians just like, oh fuck it, we all 5 million Canadians are just like, no, peace, right? You don't see that. We're here like normal people fighting for our country and to um to try to solve the problem and hopefully vote these idiots out of office. But you guys, you have to understand, we now live in a communist one party system. We are never going to see conservatism ever, 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 ever again in any country that has liberals as the majority. Even in the States, in the next election, I feel like the liberals are going to win again. Okay, and Trump has done nothing, absolutely nothing, to solve any of these problems, these systemic problems, right? And in fact, he's in on it. So all these idiot Trumpers out there that think Trump's going to fix everything and, oh, let's become the 51st state, like, that is not going to solve the problem. What's going to solve the problem is getting these politicians, arresting them, putting them up on trial for treason, and letting the people of Canada determine what happens to traitors to the country. But these people are all World Economic Forum lackeys, right? And they're doing this on purpose. They're doing this on purpose. So yeah, all right, you guys. That's my big that's my big rant for today, and I'm very worried. I'm nervous, but I am a survival prepper, thank God. If I had to spend the rest of my life, as short as it probably would be, living in the woods, I could, I could disappear completely and never have to step foot in a town or a city again ever. Unless I severely hurt myself and needed like antibiotics or whatever, something, right? Um, it's just like I feel like I'm going to be living on the streets, living in my car soon, and I'm not even sure about that because I've had to bounce all of my payments. So I even missed my car payment, like I missed my loan payments, and rent is going to be another, like I have zero income coming in. And it's not like I have not been looking for jobs, and even the temporary agency that I work for, they've been telling me for the last week, like, sorry, we don't have anything. It's unusually slow right now. Nobody's hiring us up for jobs, and it's just like the handful of regulars that they have. They're just keeping them busy so that they keep coming back. But there's really, like, as far as like a lot of work is concerned, there isn't. Guys, everybody is doing mass layoffs now. AI is taking over a lot of job sectors. And as an electrician, I never in my I never in my life thought that, we would become obsolete, but that's basically what's happened. Okay, because these companies, like these developers that are building all these huge buildings now, are super gun shy about doing new projects because the cost of materials is fluctuating so rapidly. You could put in a quote, say it costs $100 million to build a high rise. Well, by the time you get all your material in and everything, the cost of everything may have doubled. Now your $100 million high rise is $150 million because the raw material itself doubled in price. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how do you settle on a contract and settle on that, with that major of a fluctuation? And it's like, a company could completely go bankrupt with one bad project like that, right? So there's no security in building materials. So that means all the developers, nobody's building anything right now, and which means all of these companies that have all these tradesmen are laying them all off. And it's just like, like, what do you do? And it's like, I can't work minimum wage right now because there are no minimum wage jobs. Okay, I don't have an East Indian last name, right? I'm not East Indian. And the East Indians or the Filipinos or the Indonesians have totally overrun all of the minimum wage work. So you cannot be a minimum wage worker as a white person, right? You have to have some sort of career, or you won't find work. Even as a young person, you will not find work if you're not an immigrant, because immigrants own all these freaking businesses like Tim Hortons and all the fast food places and all the retail places. They're all owned by East Indians now, right? So, and they only hire within their own communities, and they basically, kicking us white people in the balls, right? So I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, I'm gonna have to rent a storage unit and get some of my, bigger, furniture pieces into storage, but I can't do that because I don't have the money. Even storage, even a 5x8 storage unit is like $200 a month, right? Because rent is so expensive now. And it's just like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to store anything. So I'm going to have to do what I've done a couple of times in the past. And I'm just going to have to sell off all of my everything I own. You know what I mean? Just sell everything I own and live in my car and ride EI living in my car, and hope to at least make my car payment and my insurance, and put gas in my car with the little tiny bit of money that I get from EI. That's where I'm at right now. So will I be streaming with that? Oh, maybe. I mean, I have my cell phone as a mobile hotspot, and of course, um, I, you've hopefully seen the video where I was talking about me being a streamer, and I showed you my little handheld computer, right? But that everything I have sitting in front of me here, guys, to record all this for you is all has all been purchased on credit. Um, and it was a big decision for me to do it that way. And I had no inkling that I was going to lose my job. And then very literally the next day, I was like, sorry, we're laying you off and we're doing that now. Like, there's no loyalty. There's no here 2 week notice, nothing, right? They want 2 weeks from you when you quit. But um, when they lay you off or fire you, it's like instantly, right? Especially when they lay you off. Fire, I get. Layoff, it's just like, not even trying, right? They're not trying. So, and I've been making phone calls around to all the construction companies around town looking for work, and they're all saying the same thing. Like, nobody's wants to do any developing right now because the cost of material is just so unstable, and all these developers, nobody's got any projects going. So basically, the projects that they had that they've already paid for, they're finishing those, and that's it. There's going to be a lot of laid off tradesmen coming up right away here, and that's really really sad. And I'm one of them. So it's like, as a tradesman, now I'm about to lose my career as a tradesman again because this happened in 2015 when Trudeau took over, right? He slashed the entire industrial sector of our job market.
Epic fail.
And that cost me my job in 2015 as an industrial electrician, and it took me 4 years to get back into the residential slash commercial grind to where I had to take a hit as a third-year electrician. I was out there making only $18 an hour so that I could learn the trade as a residential guy. And I was sort of in building myself up to where I was just making $32 an hour, but now I'm making, zero, and I don't know what I'm going to do for work in the next few months because, there is no work. And there's a lot of people on EI. A lot of people got laid off. I sense that in 2026, our homeless crisis, like Canada, is literally going to break as a country, and our homeless crisis is going to be like out of control. So, yeah. Sorry, something just happened here. Oh, I see. Bit rate. Yeah, I know my bit rate's low. So, anyways, you guys, that's it. That's the whole shebang in a nutshell. And there's only there's only what? So I have till next Monday. On Monday, they're gonna try to pull out rent. It's not gonna happen. Tuesday, they're gonna notify me that my rent payment bounced, and I probably have till, yeah, they'll probably give me 2 weeks to get out. So on the about mid-month, I'm gonna be like having to put all my stuff into storage. Hopefully my EI kicks in around the 9th. And I'll get my first EI payment so I can actually get a storage unit. But pretty much all of my furniture and everything is all getting put up for sale this weekend. So this weekend, this Saturday, this Sunday, everything I own is going up for sale, and I'm just gonna even give a lot of it away. And I just want people to take it away and make it so that I don't have to move it. So, yeah, I went from being like, I'm educated, you guys. I have a diploma in network administration. I'm I'm a fourth year electrician. Um, I have business management education. Like, I'm highly intelligent. I've had my IQ tested, and it's up there, and it's just like for a guy like me, it's just like it's unfreaking believable that I'm in this situation, but I'm not the only one. Here we are, you guys, and this is a systemic problem now. And kind of, to be honest with you, I'm not all that afraid of being homeless, because I know as long as I stay off the drugs and off the alcohol and everything, I can always find a place to park. As long as I can keep my car, I'm good to go. And without having to pay rent, just a few bills that I have, I should be able to pay. I should be able to make those bills, and it should be easy enough to do all that, um, without having the insane cost of rent. My biggest problem is going to be with cooking, especially during the winter. I'm going to need a little stove of some kind, a little propane stove, I'm thinking. But even propane now, like your little propane camp stoves, are like very expensive, and the fuel for them is like through the roof because the government doesn't want you to have that kind of stuff. So what do you do to cook for yourself, and how do you store and keep your food? Right, you can never have anything perishable. Everything's got to be non-perishable, or you're going to be eating out a lot. So it's not like you can, just go to the fridge and grab your milk and pour yourself a bowl of cereal and away you go, right? Because you don't, it's like you don't have that. So I don't know what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm freaking out a little bit, but I'm also kind of like, it's going to feel like a relief when it finally comes. I'm going to feel relieved because I'm finally not paying extremely high rental rates. Like I pay about $1,700 a month with insurance, utilities, so my parking space. I pay $50 a month for that. I pay $40 a month for a little storage locker that's down there, but I have to let that go when I move. So yeah, I mean it's like not cheap, and I'm just a single guy that lives in a single apartment pad, and it's just like it's crazy. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for stopping in, and sorry to be so cryptic, but yeah. All right, until